Welcome to Movie World, the place where we only talk movies and sometimes shows that feel like movies. I'm Andy Signore, and today I'm reviewing Marvel Studios' What If. I got to see the first 3 episodes. I have not seen the whole series, but I am only going to review the first 3 episodes. But this is an animated, Marvel's first animated series, Marvel Studios' first animated series, asking the question, what if? Where they take... basically, this is inside the MCU. This is apparently canon to the MCU. These are offshoots, various timelines and things, as now we learned in the multiverse exists with Loki, etc. These are various timelines and things that are, what if something else happened instead of the ones we know? And so the episodes that we saw, I'm not going to get into much spoilers on. In fact, I don't want to do any spoilers. In fact, I just opened up my notes to make sure I don't do any spoilers so I can read a little bit more of what I've seen here. Now, if you've seen the trailer, I'm going to tell you pretty much what you've already seen in the trailer. So no more spoilers aside from what you've seen in the trailer. So friendly warning, no spoilers, but in case you didn't watch the trailer and you don't want to hear more, then you can dip out. All right. So the show, again, what if scenarios? What if Peggy Carter had taken the serum instead of Steve Rogers and became Captain Carter instead of Captain America? What if T'Challa had been Star-Lord? This is episode 1 that I saw, was the one about Peggy Carter. Episode 2 that was released was Chadwick Boseman's final performance, which made it very emotional as T'Challa as Star-Lord. The 3rd episode, I'm not going to reveal. It's not the Marvel Zombies. I'm very curious to see how they handle the Marvel Zombies because I love that book by Robert Kirkman. It was not that. However, I won't tell you. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm going to let that be a surprise for you. Here's what I will say. Episode 1, a bit of a disappointment. The Captain Carter episode was a bit of a disappointment. I'm going to explain why. Episode 2 definitely took advantage of the what if formula more. I felt like it just the idea of what if took more interesting places, and it wasn't just a rehash, which is my problem with episode 1. Episode 1, where they just substitute Peggy Carter for Steve Rogers taking the serum, really does ultimately turn into a quick rehash of what we've already seen in Captain America. It's very much like women can do this. It's a very female empowerment, rah rah, all for it. But it just got a little forced. It's a rushed rehash of things, just slightly different is what I wrote here. We've seen it in the movie, but they just subbed out the character. And then, yes, we're sort of going through the motions of what you saw in the movie of First Avenger, but it's Peggy this time. And this character, which I don't want to spoil what it is, but you've seen it in there. This character and Peggy sort of team up together. It feels very Iron Giant-esque, which I'm sure a lot of Marvel fans are going to disagree with me and think this is wonderful. And I'm sure, for the sake of liking Agent Carter and Peggy Carter and seeing her in this format, they're going to be excited to see her in this. Great. Wasn't enough for me. There was nothing really new to it that to me warranted it, and it got me nervous as the first episode. I was like, man, if this show is really just like, what if Ant-Man was Iron Man? And then we just watch Iron Man, but it's slightly different because Ant-Man's doing it instead. What if Hulk was Spider-Man? And then you're just literally watching Homecoming, but it's Bruce Banner. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just would get a little monotonous and boring. And episode 1 totally does the what if Peggy Carter was Captain America? And we just see the same actions happen. Now, overall, like, the animation's great. Haley Atwell's fun. Like, it was nice to hear her voice. It just feels like, it really did feel like Wonder Woman, the original, like the Gal Gadot, Patty Jenkins' first film. Felt like a rushed animated version of that. Just was less effective. And just lots of men underestimating women. Oh, you underestimate the woman. I get it, of course. The time period, everything else, it makes sense. I want a little bit more than that. Sure, she kicks ass. But overall, not the one I was expected to like. Now, the T'Challa episode. There's a scene from the first episode. Now, the T'Challa episode. This one is weird, guys. There are some cameos in this one, I will say, that surprised me. And there are some cameos in this one, and the things that the cameos do that I suspect will annoy certain Marvel fans, intrigue, excite. I don't know. It could polarize some. Overall, though, I had a lot more fun because T'Challa being Star-Lord changes a lot of stuff. This is like, what if he was abducted instead of Peter is what the idea is. And then we sort of fast forward and it changes a lot. Some of which I thought was a little bit like, huh? What? And I'd love to spoil it, but I'm not gonna because I don't want to spoil the plot points. There's one specific character choice they do that T'Challa changes that I was like, what? What? Voiced by someone in the MCU. Other than that, yeah, it's like Yondu is in it, and Yondu still raises him. But the premise, without getting into too much, is like he's good. He's like the Robin Hood, and turns Yondu. They do good things, and there's a little bit of a far-fetchedness to some of it. At the end of the day, beautiful animation, amazing cameos, a lot of really cool finale. This one takes the idea and takes it to a whole new level. Now, it was a little weird to me, like if T'Challa was really raised for 20 years by Yondu in a spaceship of Ravagers, would he still have the Wakandan accent that long? It was the only question mark I had. Aside from that, it was really nice to hear Chadwick Boseman again. I did get a little emotional in there, and it's sad that we don't have him around. Obviously, it's super tragic, but it's nice to just get a little bit of a fun story with him of what if him as Star-Lord. I think I'm happy he was T'Challa in the movies. Better move, but fascinating story and a lot of really weird creative choices they make. That this one I was like, all right, this is more interesting. Now, episode 3. This is from episode 3. That's all I'm going to tell you. Episode 3, far more interesting. By far the best of the 3. The show continued to get better and better with the writing and sort of the scenarios, the what-ifs they threw at you. Episode 3, without getting into too much of it, it's an Avengers episode is what I will say. It's an Avengers episode, and I really enjoyed it. It was like, what can I say? A mystery sort of thing, but big budget. And a lot of characters return, and I think they did. Did they reveal it? I guess they did reveal it. I can say Loki returns. It's a Loki-centric episode. However, I'm not going to say what happens and too much about it because I do realize I think there was a episode guide release, so you guys know what the first 3 episodes are. That's what we saw. It's a Loki coming to Earth episode. Yeah, look, I like this one. I did like this one. It's this one plays into the movies in a way that, without spoiling it, that a movie I just watched again recently, that I was like, oh, interesting. What if that had happened? And this was the first time I was like, oh man, that could have been interesting. What if that did? Like, it was the first time I was like, wow, I was engrossed, invested, interesting spin of where it goes. And I liked it. So this show is a mixed bag. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I would say What If is a mixed bag. I'm dying to see this episode. We didn't see it yet, so that's not the episode we saw. This is so gory and violent in the comics. So I'm very curious how they're going to handle it in the show, just without blood. I don't know. It's pretty epic in the comics. Overall, What If, like right in the middle. You got one episode I did not like, one episode I did enjoy, and one I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. So overall, I'd say that's a more positive than negative. This show has potential. It's interesting. The animation is cool. The animation is really great. The voice cast, I think, works. It's interesting. Sometimes they use the Avengers. Like when the Avengers show up, Mark Ruffalo is Hulk, but Scarlett Johansson is not Black Widow. They got Lake Bell to play Black Widow in the show. And I couldn't tell if it was Chris Evans as Steve Rogers in the Captain Carter because they didn't give us the credits to that one. But other characters show up that are the actual MCU actors, some big names, guys. And then sometimes it's not. What's his name? Ross Marquand, from Walking Dead, who plays Red Skull in Endgame, shows up as the voice of Red Skull and Captain Carter. So again, Jeremy Renner is Hawkeye at one point in the series. And so it's a mixed bag. Sometimes you get the voice, sometimes you don't. And it seems like when they don't have the actors, they don't actually draw them like the actors. Is an interesting choice because the Black Widow doesn't look like Scarlett Johansson. It looks like a generic Black Widow. But all the Mark Ruffalo, it looks like Mark Ruffalo. Interesting choice. They also, like in episode 1, is it Bradley Whitford from West Wing? He's there instead of Tommy Lee Jones. And so they draw a different character more to him than others. So they sort of adapt it to like other actors playing the actor what they could have been. It's interesting to watch, like visually interesting to watch. They're half-hour episodes. I thought they'd be a little bit longer. But overall, I have to say, I'm intrigued, but I'm not blown away yet. They're fun. It's a smart little thing to do. Marvel fans, I think, will just eat it up and love it no matter what. So if you're a Marvel fan, get excited. But to me, it's one of those shows that's going to be hit or miss depending on the episode and the writers involved. How creative do they get? How interesting is the what if scenario? It's one of those shows that as it's done, I could see people saying, "Oh, make sure you checked out episodes 3 and 6 of What If," and maybe not the whole series. Might be how this show plays out. But I'm curious what you guys think. Jeffrey Wright as the Watcher is intriguing. He starts each episode sort of with a speech, and then he interjects sort of at the beginning and end of each episode, kind of like, Rod Sterling's Twilight Zone. And he's the Watcher who watches from afar. He can't change anything, but he does pivot some things, especially at the end of 3. Episode 3 ends and I'm like, wow, I kind of want to watch more of this. That was the one where I'm like, really wanted to see more. There's parts of 2 that I could see more of, and I don't hate the idea of Captain Carter. The episode they chose to give us, which pretty much just puts her instead of Steve in the movie, to me was a mistake. They do an ending that's different, but it changes a little bit, but it's mostly a lot of the same beats, and then they just sort of little differences throughout that I found. Just that to me is where the show's going to fail. If they just keep doing that, that's a bad move. They need to do completely drastic. What if this happened and that suddenly changes all of this and we see the outcome of that and what would have been? Could be really interesting. But again, this is massive fan service stuff. Massive fan service stuff. So I'm curious to see what you guys think when this comes out. I think it's dropping, August 11th. So excited to see this early. Tell me your thoughts down below. Are you excited for this show? Is there one of these scenarios you see that you're most excited for? Tell me in the comments down below, please. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button, smash the bell, the like, and leave a comment to help the video. Thank you guys so much for watching here on Movie World. Lots more coming. Free Guy review dropping soon, so stay tuned. Thanks, everybody.